Was Thursday's announcement of new investments in reliable American energy. Members of his cabinet stood right next to him, one of them speaking loudly. This is a different event. Still, a White House spokesperson is adamant, here's a series of events really, that the 79-year-old Trump is the sharpest, most accessible and energetic president in American history, telling the Daily Beast that any suggestion otherwise was from lightweight, glue-sniffing reporters.
Welcome back to State Line Media. Let's get into it. Donald Trump already knows what his legacy is. Deep down, he knows. It is carved into history, whether he likes it or not. The worst president this country has ever produced. One of the most destructive figures of the entire 21st century. That is Donald Trump's legacy, and it gets worse by the day. Every time he nods off in the Oval Office, every time he stumbles through a sentence, every time he embarrasses this country on the world stage or watches members of his own party break ranks against him, the legacy gets worse. The stone sets a little harder, and that terrifies him. He is petrified of being forgotten. He is petrified of being despised forever, which is exactly what is coming for him. So what does he do? He tears up the White House. Again. Yes, again. Did you really think he would stop? Of course he didn't stop.
51. That was popular. This is most certainly not popular. I mean, just take a look here. Okay, privately paid. This is a privately paid, and now, of course, we're talking about potential public funds going to it for the security. Privately paid new White House ballroom. Look at this. In October of 2025, 56% opposed it, just 28% supported. Now, after all of the press that the president and Republicans have been trying to make in terms of making this ballroom popular, you know how much it's moved in terms of popular opinion? It hasn't moved at all. It's just as unpopular now as it was in October. It is 56% opposed, just 28% support. And I will note, Mr. Berman, that I have my little nugget down here, just 18% of independents support it.
But before we get to this latest vanity project, let's talk about just how deeply unpopular all of this already is, especially that ballroom. Because somehow, it just got even worse.
And they said it was going to be 90,000 square feet, and the White House is only 55,000 square feet. My job, I thought it was a typo.
It's just another upgrade. So I don't mind it. I think it's nice.
I'm really not surprised with anything. He does. The ballroom. Sad to say it's one of the least things that I'm worried about.
I think this is absolutely wonderful. We need a ballroom to host all the dignitaries. And from what I understand, the East Wing needed to be renovated as it was to begin with.
Think about the timing for a second. We are in the middle of a full-blown affordability crisis, a housing crisis. Regular Americans cannot find a place to live that they can actually afford. Builders cannot build fast enough. Costs are through the roof. And Donald Trump, the man who is actively blocking legislation that would make housing construction more viable, is spending his energy building a ballroom inside the White House.
Demonstrator here at the White House today, what she thought of the ballroom, and here's what she had to say.
I am a long-time D.C. resident. As a very proud immigrant, what is happening to my beloved country is very distressing to me. But to see visually the East Wing being torn down, it's a visceral reaction. I mean, I don't know how you can see what Trump is doing to America in any better analogy than that. It doesn't belong to him. The White House doesn't belong to him. The country, it's our country, it's our house. It's just, you don't have a right to do that. You don't have a right to destroy something you didn't build. And it's very upsetting to me.
Let that sink in. He is making it harder to build homes for people while building himself a ballroom. The layers of tone deafness here are genuinely staggering, but he cannot stop himself. He is chasing something. People who know him have gone on the record saying Trump is doing all of this because he is scared. Scared that history will erase him. Scared that whatever he leaves behind will become a punchline or worse, a public toilet. And they are probably right.
The White House is reportedly considering a new helipad on the South Lawn to reduce damage caused by Marine One's constant landings and takeoffs. The issue centers on the new VH-92A Patriot helicopter, which is replacing the older VH-3D Sea King used for presidential transport. The newer aircraft is heavier and more powerful, and its engines produce stronger exhaust that can scorch the White House lawn. Because of that, the Marine Corps has reportedly continued using the aging VH-3D longer than planned. According to people familiar with the proposal, President Donald Trump wants to solve the problem by installing a permanent helipad on the South Lawn.
People are going to despise Donald Trump for a very long time. Whatever gold fixtures he slaps up, whatever half-finished ballroom he unveils, it will get torn down by whoever comes next. But that fear is what keeps pushing him. And now he is going after another iconic piece of the White House. Trump's latest scheme to gut another part of the White House has been exposed. The White House campus cannot catch a break under this man. Plans are now actively moving forward for a permanent helipad on the South Lawn. The 80-year-old president wants a dedicated landing pad installed because apparently he loves destroying that grass, and it is being funded through private donations.
A timeline hasn't been finalized, and the project could face pushback from critics and preservation groups who oppose some of Trump's earlier White House renovations. A similar helipad is also reportedly planned for Trump's Mar-a-Lago residence in Florida. Trump has already overseen several major changes to the White House grounds, including updates to the Rose Garden, a granite walkway near the West Wing, new flagpoles on the lawn, renovations inside the residence, and plans tied to a new ballroom project.
And when we say private donations, we mean exactly the kind of corruption you are already imagining. Budget documents reviewed by The Atlantic reveal the project is being bankrolled by a $5 million donation from Lockheed Martin. Lockheed Martin, the same defense contractor that is currently building the new Marine One helicopter for Trump. The same company that has made absolutely enormous amounts of money during Trump's presidency, which has promised a $1.5 trillion military budget and delivered a full explosion of defense spending. But sure, a $5 million donation to a helipad. Nothing to see here. The technical justification being offered is that newer helicopter models have exhaust vents that point downward, which scorches the grass on the South Lawn during takeoff and landing. The White House wants the helipad to be 100 feet in diameter, featuring a presidential seal and black granite. The new Marine One helicopters, by the way, cost $215 million each, more than 10 times the price of the old fleet. A retired military officer told the Washington Post that a White House helipad is not necessarily a wild idea, noting that Marine One has a long history of burning grass, and that previous administrations were simply unwilling to alter the aesthetic of the grounds to fix it. A former commander of Marine Helicopter Squadron 1 pushed back, though, calling it stupid from an aesthetic standpoint, and arguing that nothing about the current setup is broken enough to justify a permanent structure, that a temporary landing pad could solve the problem just fine. But Donald Trump does not want a temporary helipad. A temporary helipad does not have his name on it forever. A temporary helipad does not say, "I built this. I was here. Remember me." That is not the point. The point is permanence. The point is legacy. And here is what actually matters: the corruption. Even if you grant that a helipad might serve a legitimate purpose, the way this is being done stinks. Lockheed Martin does not donate $5 million out of generosity. Lockheed Martin donates $5 million because they have received and will continue to receive billions in return. The people who funded Trump's White House ballroom received over $55 billion in government contracts and grants. $55 billion. These are not donations. These are investments. These are companies buying access and favor and future contracts with crumbs. 5 million here, 10 million there, off a table piled high with taxpayer money. So whether or not a helipad is necessary, what is absolutely not necessary is this level of baked-in, shameless corruption driving every single decision. And speaking of destroying the grounds, Let's talk about what Trump's UFC birthday bash left behind. Donald Trump celebrated his 80th birthday last Saturday with an unprecedented UFC event held directly on White House grounds. And by Friday, the photos were out. Aerial images captured by Reuters showed the Ellipse, a 52-acre park just south of the White House lawn, completely devastated. What was once a lush green space now looked like a wasteland, patches of dead brown grass stretching in every direction. The White House South Lawn suffered damage as well, with a spokesperson confirming that $1 million will be spent just to restore the grass. $1 million of taxpayer money to fix grass that Donald Trump destroyed for a birthday party. Chef Jose Andres, founder of World Central Kitchen, put it bluntly, in the 250th year of this nation's existence, the White House and its surroundings look absolutely terrible. And he is right. The torn-up ellipse, the UCF equipment still being dismantled, millions of dollars to fix what did not need to be broken. If Trump genuinely cared about that South Lawn brass, if that was ever actually the point, he would never have let this happen. He would have been out there protecting every blade. But that was never the point. It is never the point. The point is always the same. Tear things up for Donald Trump and let everyone else pay to clean it up. We cannot keep accepting this, and we cannot keep responding to it with strongly worded letters and polite objections. We need to match this energy with something real. We need democratic leadership that is done playing nice and ready to deliver. Not press releases, not letters of concern. A bold, unapologetic, progressive vision. The kind that Mayor Zohran Mamdani is already putting into practice right now, and that is actually changing people's lives. I heard a woman in New York say that nothing has done more for her well-being, not therapy, not meditation, not anything, than knowing her rent is frozen for the next 2 years. That is what government is supposed to feel like. That is what people are starving for. Real action, real relief, real hope. That is what we have to be fighting for every single day. That is what this show is going to keep talking about. If you want to be part of that fight, hit subscribe, leave a like, and if you made it all the way to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. Keep fighting. Don't let them silence you.